The bright twin suns of Karema shone over the smooth silver rooftops of the Remora Institute, a famous school for young minds from across the galaxy. The building stood like a crystal ship in the middle of colorful gardens and floating trees. The students, mostly girls from the Chiron race, walked to their classes with long robes flowing behind them. Nira, a quiet student with pale green skin and glowing violet eyes, sat at her desk in classroom Orb 9. Her long fingers played with her learning tablet while her eyes stared at the empty seat near the back. She had heard the news earlier that morning. Today, a new student was coming, a human male from Earth. A male. One of the girls had whispered, "In our class? But Remora is mostly for girls. They say he's from a place called Karachi." Another said, "Is that a planet?" "No, it's a city on Earth." Now, everyone waited. Even the teacher, Mentor Elwa, stood silently at the door. Nira didn't usually care about new students, but today, something in her chest felt different. Strange, like excitement, but also worry. Suddenly, the door slid open with a soft sound. A boy stepped inside. He was not tall, not short. His skin was a warm brown, his black hair neat, and his eyes dark and calm, like the deep night sky. He wore simple Earth-style clothes, a blue shirt and gray pants, nothing special. But still, the whole room fell silent. "This is Ravi," Mentor Elwa said. "He is from Earth. He will study with us now." The class remained quiet. Some girls stared. Others looked confused, but Nira couldn't look away. Ravi walked slowly to the empty seat at the back. His steps were careful, as if he was afraid to break something. He gave a small bow to Mentor Elwa and sat down without speaking a word. Class began, but Nira couldn't focus. Her eyes kept drifting to Ravi. Why was he sitting so still? Why did he not look nervous? He had come to a new world, new school, new people, and he acted like it was normal. Nira looked away quickly when he turned his head. Had he noticed her staring? She felt heat in her cheeks. Chiron's skin didn't blush like humans, but inside, she knew her heart was racing. At the lunch break, the classroom changed into a garden room. Trees inside the walls grew bright fruit, and soft platforms floated as seats. The girls gathered in groups. Nira usually sat alone, reading or sketching. But today, she walked near Ravi, who was standing near a food table, looking confused. He picked up a round fruit with blue skin and sniffed it. "Is this edible?" he asked. Nira stepped closer before she could stop herself. "Yes. It's called a filari. You eat it cold." Ravi turned to her and smiled. "Thanks." His voice was warm and soft, not sharp, not loud, just peaceful. "I'm Nira," she said, her voice shaking just a little. "Ravi," he replied. "You're the first one to talk to me today." Nira blinked. "Really? But you're interesting. Everyone's curious." He chuckled. "They're curious, but also scared, I think." Nira tilted her head. "Scared? Why?" Ravi took a bite of the fruit. "Because I'm different. That's okay. I'm used to it." Nira didn't know what to say. She just stood there, surprised. He didn't seem angry or sad, just calm. "Do you like it here?" she asked. He looked around. "It's beautiful and quiet. Earth is noisy sometimes." They stood in silence for a moment. Then another girl called Nira from across the room, and Nira stepped back. It was nice to talk. Ravi said, "Yes," she replied softly. She walked away, but all during lunch. Her thoughts stayed with him. Later in the day, during galactic history class, the teachers spoke about the early days of interplanetary contact. Students had to answer questions in groups. Mentor Elwa said, "Ravi, you work with Nira for this lesson." Nira froze. "What, with him?" Ravi walked over and sat beside her. "Hope I don't mess this up." She tried to smile. "I think you'll be fine." They started reading the lesson on their shared screen. Ravi read slowly but clearly. Nira explained some Chiron words that didn't translate well. At one point, Ravi laughed. "This word here, Sharnu, means both peace and light. That's kind of beautiful." Nira smiled. "Yes, our language is based on feelings. I like that." Ravi said, Earth languages are full of rules. Too many rules. For the first time, Nira laughed. A soft laugh. She didn't laugh often. But this human boy, so simple and gentle, made her feel safe when class ended. Ravi picked up his tablet and said, "Thank you for helping me today." "You're welcome," Nira said. Before he left, he paused. "I think you're the first real friend I've made here." Nira felt her heart flutter again. That night, in her room, Nira looked out at the twin moons of Karema. She could still hear Ravi's voice in her mind. She didn't know what this feeling was. Was it friendship, curiosity, something more? But one thing was sure. She couldn't stop thinking about him. The next morning, Nira arrived at class earlier than usual. She sat quietly at her desk, holding her learning tablet, pretending to read. But her eyes kept looking toward the empty seat next to hers, Ravi's seat. She wasn't sure why she felt nervous. Maybe it was because of what he said yesterday. "You're the first real friend I've made here." The words kept repeating in her head like a song. As more students entered, the quiet room slowly filled with soft talking. A few girls looked at Nira with curious eyes. One girl, Tula, leaned over and whispered, "So, you and the human talked a lot yesterday?" Nira nodded slowly. "Yes, we worked together for the lesson." Tula smiled in a strange way. "That's interesting. Very brave of you." Nira wasn't sure what that meant. She just looked away. Then the door opened and Ravi walked in. He gave a small wave to Nira as he sat down beside her. Nira's heart beat faster. She gave him a quiet smile in return. Today's class was language practice, and students had to use their personal translation devices to read and speak different alien languages. Since Ravi was new, Mentor Elwa announced that Nira would be his practice partner again. "Let's start with simple words from the Kyrman tongue," Elwa said. Nira handed Ravi a set of words to practice. He tried reading them, slowly and carefully. His accent was funny, but not bad. Nira giggled once, and he laughed too. "Did I say it wrong?" Ravi asked. "You said glowfish instead of light path," Nira said, covering her mouth. "Oops, sorry. Your words are tricky." "It's okay. You're learning." Fast, they continued their practice. Then it was time for Ravi to repeat a full sentence. Nira gave him a line to say in Kyrman. But before he could start, his translator glitched. The words came out all wrong. "Your face looks like boiled roots." The class burst into laughter. Nira froze. She realized that the device had mixed two phrases. Ravi looked shocked. "Wait, what did I say?" Nira turned red inside. Her eyes widened. "You call me boiled roots." Ravi's face filled with panic. No, I didn't mean it. I swear." Mentor Elwa stepped forward. "Calm, students. It was a simple mistake." But the class kept giggling. Some girls looked at Nira and whispered. She felt heat in her chest, not anger, but embarrassment. After class, Nira stood alone in the hallway, staring at the wall. She didn't want to talk to anyone. Then she heard footsteps. It was Ravi. "I'm really sorry," he said gently. "That translator, it said something weird. I didn't mean to insult you." Nira looked down. "I know, but now everyone's laughing." "They're not laughing at you," Ravi said. "They're laughing at me. I said the wrong thing." Nira stayed silent. Ravi added, "I guess I'm still learning your world." Finally, Nira looked at him. "It's not just that. I'm not used to being noticed. I don't like when everyone watches me." Ravi nodded. "I understand. On Earth, I didn't like being the center of attention either. But then I came here, and now I feel like everyone sees me all the time." That made Nira smile just a little. "Yes, now you know how I feel." Ravi smiled too. "Then maybe we can help each other." The next few days passed slowly. Some girls still giggled when they saw Nira and Ravi together. A few whispered jokes, but not in a mean way, just playful. Nira tried to ignore them. But one afternoon, in the art hall, something strange happened. Nira was painting a landscape of the glowing Kyrman Sea when she saw Ravi walking by. He looked at her painting and paused. "That's beautiful," he said. Nira blushed. "Thank you. Is that where you're from?" "Yes, My home is near the sea caves. Ravi sat down beside her. I've never seen the ocean. On Earth, I lived far from the water. Nira looked at him with surprise. Then maybe I can take you there sometime. Ravi's eyes lit up. Really? She nodded. It's peaceful. And glowing water looks better in real life. Then I'd like that. For a moment, they sat in silence, just enjoying the calm. Later, as Nira walked back to her room, she thought about everything. The mistake in class, the way Ravi apologized, the way he smiled when he saw her painting Dot at first. She thought she was only curious about him because he was human, someone from far away, someone different. But now, she wondered if it was something more. She wasn't sure what it meant, not yet. But she knew this. Ravi was kind. He listened. He didn't laugh when others did. He made her feel seen, not just watched. And even after the mistake, even after the joke, she still wanted to talk to him, still wanted to sit beside him. That night, Nira sat on her bed. Holding her sketch pad, she drew a small picture of the ocean. And beside it, a figure standing quietly, watching the waves. She smiled at the drawing. Maybe mistakes didn't always lead to trouble. Sometimes they open a path to something new. The bright hallway of Remora Institute glowed with soft light as Nira walked beside Ravi toward the Cultural Exchange Hall. That day's lesson was about traditions from different planets. Each student had to present something from their home. A story, an object, a dish, or a memory. I hope you like what I brought, Ravi said. Holding a small black box in his hands, Nira smiled. I'm sure I will. They entered the big room filled with floating platforms. Each student had decorated their station with colors, lights, and symbols from their home planets. Some had strange instruments, others showed glowing stones or shining seeds. Nira's station had soft shells from the Kyrman Sea, arranged in circles. Their soft hum filled the air with peaceful sounds. She had prepared a story about her family's moon-watching ritual, a tradition passed down from her grandmother. Ravi set up his station beside hers. From the box, he pulled out a tiny screen and a small packet. On the screen, a video began to play, images of crowded markets, children playing in water, a family sitting together eating food with their hands. This is Karachi, Ravi explained. My home. It's busy, colorful, and loud. I miss it sometimes. Many girls gathered around, curious. One asked, why do they eat with hands? Another said, your city looks crowded. Doesn't it feel small? Ravi didn't get upset. He answered each question with a smile. Yes, it's crowded, but that's what makes it feel alive. And eating with hands, it's part of the feeling. It's not just food, it's connection. Nira watched him. He spoke with calm respect. He didn't try to make Earth look better than Karema. He just showed it for what it was, real and full of life. After the presentations, Mentor Elwa announced, tomorrow, we'll go on a short trip to the Glowstone Caverns. You may invite one student to explore with you as a partner. Nira felt nervous. She wanted to invite Ravi, but what if he chose someone else? But later, as the students left the hall, Ravi turned to her and said, will you come with me too? The caverns, her eyes widened. You want to go with me? Yes, Ravi said with a small smile. You told me about the sea caves before. I'd like to see what your world really looks like. With you? Nira nodded, hiding her excitement. Okay, I'll go. The next day, the class traveled by glider to the Glowstone Caverns. The ride was smooth, floating over soft hills and crystal lakes. The caverns were hidden under a tall cliff, glowing gently from inside. When they arrived, the group entered together, holding small light orbs. The walls of the cave shone with gentle blue and purple colors. It was like stepping into a dream. It's beautiful, Ravi whispered. Nira smiled. This place is special to us. Many Kyrman families come here during life-changing moments. They walked slowly, side by side. Nira showed him glowing rocks that pulsed when touched, and pools that reflected not your face, but your feelings. At one small pool, Nira looked into the water. It showed a soft pink color, a sign of happiness mixed with hope. Ravi looked into his own reflection. His pool shimmered with a warm orange. What does this mean? Nira smiled. Comfort, like you're starting to feel at home. As they walked deeper into the cave, they reached a narrow ledge. Nira stepped onto it first, guiding Ravi. But the ground shook slightly, a normal part of the cave's breathing system. And Nira lost her balance. She slid with a small cry. Before she could fall, Ravi grabbed her arm, pulling her close. Her heart pounded as she clung to him. Just inches from the edge. You okay? Ravi asked, holding her steady. Yes, Nira whispered, her voice shaking. Thank you. He helped her sit on a nearby rock. She held her knees close and took a deep breath. I should have been more careful, she said. Ravi sat beside her. No, it's not your fault. This place is amazing, but also tricky. They sat there for a while, the light of the cave reflecting softly around them. Then Ravi said, Nira, can I ask you something? She looked up. Yes, that moment, when you almost slipped. I felt really scared, like I couldn't let anything happen to you. Nira blinked. You saved me. I just moved without thinking, Ravi said. But after that, I started wondering, do Kaiman people see those moments the same way we humans do? Nira tilted her head. What do you mean? Ravi looked a bit embarrassed. Back home, if you saved someone like that, people would say it was special. Like, maybe fate. Nira felt her heart race. Here, saving someone is always seen as honorable. But if you feel something deeper, it can be a sign. They both looked away, unsure what to say next. The trip ended peacefully. Students returned to the gliders, chatting about glowing fish and light-reflecting rocks. Back at the institute, the sun was already setting. Nira walked slowly toward her room, her thoughts full. She thought about Ravi's face when he reached out to save her, the way he held her, the fear in his eyes, the care in his voice. Was it just because they were friends, or was something else growing between them, something new, something neither of them fully understood? Nira sat at her window, watching the stars appear one by one. She didn't have the answers yet, but she knew this. Ravi wasn't just an interesting student anymore. He had become someone who made her heart feel different, not just curious, not just calm. Something more. The next week at Remora Institute began with clear skies and soft winds flowing over the high glass towers. Classes resumed after the Glowstone Caverns trip, but for Nira, something had changed. She kept thinking about what happened in the cave, how Ravi held her hand, how his eyes showed real worry. That moment had left a soft warmth inside her, a feeling that didn't go away. Still, she tried to act normal. She didn't want the other students to whisper about her again. But every time Ravi walked into the room, her heart felt lighter. It was time for tech application class, held on the top floor where the gravity was slightly weaker. This class involved real-time work with floating platforms, drones, and stabilizers. The task of the day was to test small gravity-controlled devices on moving platforms. Each student had to balance a floating board using a tiny stabilizer. Please be careful. Mentor Elwa said, the platforms are safe, but quick movements may cause them to tilt. Students took their turns one by one, stepping onto the platform, adjusting the control device, and returning to the ground. When it was Ravi's turn, he walked up carefully and stepped on the board. Nira watched closely. She noticed how he studied the control panel, thoughtful and calm. He pressed the button. The board lifted him slowly, then floated sideways. He kept it balanced. The class murmured in approval. A few girls even clapped. He's doing well, someone whispered. Nira smiled proudly without realizing it. Then it was her turn. Nira stepped onto the platform and activated her stabilizer. The board lifted smoothly at first, and she guided it forward, but suddenly, a loud humming noise came from the side. One of the control drones nearby sparked for a moment. A rare error, but dangerous. The platform under Nira shook. She tried to reset the stabilizer, but the ground tilted sharply. She lost balance. The entire room gasped as Nira slipped and fell from the edge of the floating board. She screamed, but before she hit the floor, Ravi jumped forward without thinking. He reached her just in time, grabbing her wrist and pulling her close. They both landed hard, but safely, on the soft ground mat. For a few seconds, the room was silent. Then voices rose. Did he just jump? He caught her. Is he okay? Mentor Elwood quickly stepped in. Everyone stay calm. Ravi sat up, holding Nira's arm gently. Are you hurt? Nira shook her head. No, I'm okay. But you? I'm fine, he said with a smile. Even though he was breathing fast, Mentor Elwood helped them up. That was a fast reaction, Ravi, and brave. But next time, please call for help instead of jumping into danger. Yes, Mentor, Ravi replied politely. The class ended early. Students were told to rest for the day. But whispers had already begun. In the hallway, two girls walked behind Nira and spoke softly. Did you see how close they were? She fell, and he caught her like in a storybook. Maybe they're more than just friends. Nira's ears turned warm. She looked at the ground and walked faster. Later, in the study garden, Ravi found her sitting alone near the singing trees. Are you okay? He asked, sitting beside her. Yes, Nira said softly. Just thinking. He looked at her carefully. About the fall. No, she said. About you. Ravi was surprised. Me? You jumped without thinking, she said. Why? Ravi scratched the back of his neck. Because I saw you fall. I didn't care about rules or anything. I just moved. Nira looked at him. You scared? Me? I'm sorry, he said quickly. I didn't mean to. She shook her head. No, I was scared. Because I thought I might lose you. Ravi didn't speak. For a long moment, they both just sat quietly. The singing tree above them hummed softly, like it understood their silence. Then Nira said, when you first came, I thought you were strange. Interesting, but different. And now, Ravi asked, now, I think you're still different. She said with a small smile, but not in a strange way. In a good way. Ravi looked into her eyes, and his smile returned. I think the same. About you? The next day, the entire school was talking about the incident. Some students still whispered jokes, but others spoke with respect. He saved her. Maybe humans are more brave than we thought. Even Mentor Elwood mentioned Ravi's act during the morning gathering, calling it an example of unity, care, and quick action. But Ravi didn't look proud. He just looked calm. As always, Nira, on the other hand, felt something new. Not fear, not confusion, but courage. She didn't care anymore if others whispered. Ravi had been there when she needed help. And deep inside, she knew. This connection between them was not just about curiosity anymore. It was real. That evening, Nira stood at the edge of the small academy lake. The water glowed with light stones, and the wind was gentle. She heard footsteps. Ravi stood beside her. Beautiful view, he said. And Ira nodded. It's where I go when I want to be calm. He looked up at the sky. Sometimes I wonder what my friends on Earth are doing now. I miss them. But I don't feel lonely anymore. Nira looked at him. Why not? Because you're here, he said simply. She smiled. No more fear. No more hiding. Just two souls from different stars, learning what it meant to understand each other. The moonlight over Remora Institute was soft that night, casting silver shadows over the glass walkways. Most students were inside, preparing for the next day's lessons. But Nira sat quietly on a bench in the rooftop garden, hugging her sketchbook. To her chest, her heart felt heavy, but not in a painful way. It was full of thoughts, of feelings, and of one person, Ravi. Since the incident during tech class, things had changed. No one whispered as much. Even the teachers treated Ravi with more respect. Many students now greeted him kindly. Some even asked for his help. And Ravi, as always, smiled and stayed humble. But for Nira, her feelings had grown deeper than curiosity or friendship. She no longer stared at Ravi because he was different. Now, she stared because she missed him the moment he wasn't near. That evening, while Nira stared up at the twin moons, she heard a soft voice behind her. Nira? It was Ravi. She looked back, surprised but glad. How did you know I was here? Ravi smiled. I asked your roommate. She said this is your thinking spot. Nira made space beside her, and he sat down for a while. They said nothing. The wind moved gently through the glowing flowers around. Then finally, Ravi asked, "Is something wrong?" Nira looked at him, unsure how to speak. "Do you ever feel like your heart is full, but your mind is confused?" He thought for a moment. "Yes, a few times. Usually when something important is happening inside. That's what I feel now," Nira said softly. Ravi looked at her with gentle eyes. "Do you want to talk about it?" Nira hugged her sketchbook tighter. "I think I need to ask you something first." "Okay," she looked into his eyes. "Do you ever feel like someone doesn't see you the same way you see them?" Ravi blinked. "Yes," he said quietly. "I've felt that before." Nira's heart beat faster. "And what do you do when that happens?" "I wait," he said. "I try to understand their side, because sometimes the other person is just as confused as I am." Nira lowered her eyes. "What if the other person doesn't know how to show their feelings?" "Then maybe," Ravi said, "they're afraid." Nira took a deep breath. "Ravi, do you think we're just friends?" Ravi was silent. He didn't look away, but his face grew more serious. "I don't know," he said slowly. "At first, I thought we were, but now, I don't know what to call this." Nira looked into his eyes. "I feel something, and it's not just friendship." Ravi's voice was soft. "Me too." Her hands trembled slightly. "I've never felt like this before." "Neither have I," he said. They sat side by side, saying no more for a while. The stars above seemed to shine just for them. The next day at school, Nira felt lighter. Not because everything was clear, but because she had finally said what was in her heart. She and Ravi still acted the same in class, studying, helping each other, listening to lessons. But something unspoken had changed between them. They didn't need to talk much to understand one another. Sometimes, just a glance was enough. During world music class, students had to share songs from their home planets. When it was Ravi's turn, he stood in front of the class with a small instrument from Earth, a simple wooden flute. "I'm not the best player," he said, "but this is a melody my grandfather used to play for me when I couldn't sleep." He played slowly. The notes were soft, like whispers in the wind. The room grew silent as the music filled the air, full of warmth and memory. Nira closed her eyes and listened. She could almost see the small house Ravi once called home, the street lights of his city, the sounds of family nearby. When he finished, the class clapped, even the students who rarely showed emotion. Nira clapped too, her heart full. Later that afternoon, Nira and Ravi walked together in the academy garden. The flowers were blooming in strange colors, red, teal, and gold. "You played beautifully today," Nira said. Ravi looked down, shy. "I was nervous. I thought no one would like it." "I liked it," she said. He smiled. "That's enough for me." As they walked, Ravi suddenly stopped. "Nira, can I ask you something now?" "Of course." "When I leave this place, someday, when my studies take me elsewhere, will you remember me?" Her smile faded slowly. "Why do you ask that?" "Because Earth students don't always stay. I might be invited to another planet's program soon, but I don't want to leave without knowing what I meant to you." Nira looked at him. "You'll never be just a memory to me, whether you stay or go. I'll remember every word, every look, every time you smiled." He touched his chest softly. "Then I'll carry your words with me." That night, Nira returned to her room and opened her sketchbook. She drew to stars, close, but not touching. Then she added a light between them, a thread of energy. She smiled, even if they were far apart one day. Something between them would remain. Something gentle, something real. The day of the Festival of Unity arrived at the Remora Institute with bright skies and gentle winds carrying sweet scents from the gardens. This festival was the most important event of the year, where students celebrated their different planets, cultures, and traditions together. Every student was asked to wear the colors and symbols of their home world. The halls were filled with vibrant robes, glowing jewelry, and decorations that shimmered in every shade imaginable. Nira stood before a large mirror in her room, adjusting a soft sash wrapped around her shoulder. The sash was a deep, clear blue, the color of Earth's oceans. It was a simple gift from Ravi, given days ago, with a small note, "For the sea you showed me in stories." Nira smiled softly as she tied the sash. Wearing it made her feel closer to Ravi in the home he spoke of so often, downstairs. Ravi prepared his outfit, simple. Clean clothes in the soft white and green colors of Earth's forests and fields. He had brought a small plant, a tiny green sprout in a clear crystal pot. It was a gift for Nira. When they met in the main hall, Ravi held out the plant. "For you," he said quietly. "A piece of earth, for your world." Nira's eyes brightened. "Thank you. It's beautiful." She handed him a bracelet made of tiny glowing shells, a Chiron symbol of friendship and respect. They exchanged their gifts with shy smiles. Around them, other students gathered in groups, showing off their own treasures. Rare stones from distant moons, ancient fabrics from desert planets, shimmering feathers from sky worlds. The festival was alive with music, laughter, and the gentle hum of light floating through the air. The festival began with a grand opening ceremony. Mentor Elwa spoke about unity and respect. "We are many worlds, many faces," she said. "But here, we learn to stand as one family." After the speech, students shared stories, dances, and songs from their homes. Nira and Ravi moved through the crowd together. For the first time, they felt like more than just classmates. They were a pair, a bridge between two very different worlds. Later, Nira found herself standing beside a large platform where students were invited to perform. Ravi nudged her gently. "Would you like to tell your moon-watching story?" Nira looked nervous. "I don't know if I can." "You can," Ravi said simply. "I'll be right here." Taking a deep breath, Nira stepped forward and spoke. She told the story of the moon dance, a tradition where Chiron families watch the twin moons rise, sharing hopes and wishes. She described how the moon's glow was believed to bring peace and strength. The crowd listened quietly, enchanted by her soft voice and the magic of her words. When she finished, gentle applause filled the hall. Then it was Ravi's turn. He stepped onto the platform holding his flute. "I want to share a melody from Earth," he said. He played the tune his grandfather taught him, soft, slow notes that filled the room with calm. The music painted pictures of warm fires, quiet nights, and close family. As he played, Nira felt tears in her eyes, not from sadness, but from a deep feeling of connection. After the performances, the festival moved to the garden, where light orbs floated like stars above. Students paired up to walk through the glowing paths. Ravi took Nira's hand. She looked at him, surprised. He smiled warmly. "May I?" Nira nodded. Together, they walked slowly beneath the lights, sharing quiet words and shy smiles. Around them, the world seemed soft and endless. At the end of the garden, near a small reflecting pool, Ravi stopped. He looked into Nira's eyes. "Thank you for being with me today, for showing me your world." Nira smiled. "Thank you for being here, for sharing your stories and music." He took a deep breath. I'm glad I came to this school." "Me too," Nira whispered. For a moment, they simply stood there, two beings from distant stars, connected by something simple, yet strong. As the festival came to a close, students gathered in groups, sharing hopes for the future. Nira felt a calm warmth in her chest. No matter what happened next, whether Ravi stayed or left, whether they grew closer or not, this night would always be theirs. A night of light, music, and friendship. A night where the worlds found a common heart. The morning sun rose softly over Remora Institute, casting warm light on the silver rooftops and blooming gardens. The festival was over, and the students returned to their normal routines. But for Nira and Ravi, everything had changed. Ravi had received news late the night before, an invitation to continue his studies on another planet, in a faraway system. The news was both exciting and difficult. He wanted to grow, to learn more, but it also meant leaving this world and the people who had become important to him. Nira sat by the window in her room, staring at the glowing stars far beyond the twin moons. Her heart felt heavy but full. At the same time, a soft knock came at the door. Ravi stepped inside. carrying a small pouch filled with stones that glowed faintly. A gift from the Glowstone Caverns trip. I thought you might like to keep these, he said, smiling gently. Nira stood and took the pouch. Thank you. They're beautiful. Ravi looked at her, his dark eyes steady. I wanted to say, before I go, that you changed my world. Nira smiled softly. You changed mine, too. The next days were filled with goodbyes and memories. Friends gathered around to wish Ravi well, and the teachers praised his courage and kindness. Nira and Ravi spent every free moment together, walking in the gardens, sharing stories, and planning how they would keep in touch. One evening, under the glow of the moons, Ravi took Nira's hand. No matter where I go, I promise to remember you, he said. And I will remember you, Nira replied. No distance can change that. They sat together quietly, the soft sounds of the academy around them. On the day of departure, the whole school gathered at the spaceport. Ships of many kinds stood ready, their engines humming softly. Ravi's ship was sleek and silver, its lights glowing blue. Nira held a small crystal pendant, a symbol of friendship from her family, ready to give him. As the final boarding call came, Ravi turned to her. Thank you for everything, he said. Nira smiled, trying to keep her voice steady. Thank you for being my friend. He stepped into the ship, and with a final wave, the engines roared to life. The ship rose smoothly, leaving a trail of light behind it. Nira watched until it disappeared into the stars. Days passed slowly. Nira kept busy with her studies, but often found her mind wandering to Ravi and Earth. One evening, her tablet beeped. A message. It was from Ravi. Hello, Nira. The stars here are different, but my thoughts are the same. How are you? Nira smiled and typed back. I miss you, but I'm happy you're safe. Tell me about your new home. And so, their friendship continued. Across the galaxy, months later, a message came from Ravi's school. An invitation for Nira to visit Earth as part of an exchange program. Nira couldn't believe it. The chance to see Ravi's world, to walk under Earth's sun, and to share her own stories there. She packed her bags, her heart full of hope and excitement. On the day of her departure, Ravi waited for her on Earth's busy spaceport. When they saw each other, their smiles were bright and warm. Together, they began a new journey to friends from different worlds, learning from each other, growing together. Their story was only just beginning. End of story.